And we're going to go to the next story, which is really big news. And it ends on a very good note. So let's get into that. So you guys, we've been following the protests across college campuses that have been happening this week in reference to support for Palestinians in Gaza. The encampment started at Columbia University and then from there spread to NYU and other colleges. Now it has gotten to the point where colleges and actually California are also participating in encampments. Boston, you're going to see all of this. And then, of course, the University of Texas at Austin also decided to participate in these encampments as well. And Governor Abbott actually met them with, I would say, abrupt force that was unnecessary and uncalled for. But before we get there to what happened in Texas, because we do end on a good note with this story, we want to start with what happened in Columbia. Actually, representatives, you got to see this. Representative Mike Johnson actually went to speak at Columbia University. I guess he thought he would get through to people, and that didn't work out so well for him. So it was Mike Johnson, Virginia Fox, Nicole Malatakis, Anthony Despacito, and Mike Lawler. All of them came to Columbia University and they were met with a loud roar of boos. Listen to this.
Video guys, give your hand up.
So, thank you all for being here today. We have several members of Congress here, and we're here.
So, yeah, Mike Johnson not being greeted well at Columbia University. There were lots of boos for him there, but it gets worse. So listen to this. He went on, he did have a speech. As much as he could get out. It goes on to say at Columbia, after GOP leader Mike Johnson dismisses the hundreds of students protesting, telling them to go back to class, a reporter follows up. So he did not receive a warm welcome.
What is your message to the students inside the encampment right now?
My message to the students inside the encampment is go back to class and stop the nonsense. Look, if we want to have a debate on campus about the merits of these things, let's do that. But you can't intimidate your fellow students and make them stay home from class. Think about that. Is that right? Do you think that's right? Stop wasting your parents' money, Congressman Lawler says. I think that's right. Last one.
Anti-Zionist Jews inside the camp that are celebrating Shabbat.
I don't know who's in that camp over there, but I would tell you that this is unacceptable, and the American people are demanding accountability for it. And that's
no, we're not. The American people are not demanding that. So what Mike Johnson, the question that he was asked is, what about the anti-Zionist Jews that are participating in the encampment? He's like, well, I don't know who's a part of anything. Now all of a sudden he doesn't know who's a part of anything, but he's speaking about the people that are participating. And he goes on to say, the American people don't want, really? You're speaking for us, Mike? You're speaking for us, Mike Johnson? I have no problem with what's happening. I say kudos to those kids. I am proud of them. And they're doing the damn thing. You don't speak for me, Mike.
That's why we made the trip here today. That's why this press conference is important. We want this administration and the administration of every university campus around the country to bring this to account and to bring this lawlessness to an end. And that's what we need to do. Thank you.
What is your...
So, yeah, he did not get the welcome that he thought he was going to get. I don't know why they sent him out there other than the fact that, well, he takes a lot of money from AIPAC. So he's one of their spokesperson, I would say, just like John Fetterman. You know, they send out these people that are going to support their message and their cause. And again, like I said, he's in bed with the Israeli lobby. But check this out, as though his exit was interesting. Listen to what is said to him when he exits.
Thank you.
So that gentleman yelled, you know, get the F out of here. I'm trying to be careful with the profanity because, you know, they knock us for too much of it or whatever. But yeah, he told him to get out of here. So not the welcome that he was anticipating, but these protests, these encampments are continuing to spread across the country. You guys, we got to give a shout out to the students. Even in UCLA, you'll see this here as well. It is spread to the West Coast. Represent. UCLA says free Palestine. And I want to show you some of the signs that they have here.
I love those things.
So read this one, guys. It says free Palestine. This is the one I'm going to mute because I want to pause on this one. LAPD, KKK, they are all the, see that? LAPD, KKK, IOF, they are all the same. The kids are all right. The kids know what's happening. They understand. Now, I want you to hear from this father because he did the damn thing. Imagine being a student at one of these colleges and your dad shows up to show solidarity with you. He shows up to show solidarity with you for protesting for the Palestinian people. This guy is everything. Father shows up for his daughter protesting against genocide at USC, University of Southern California. Now we'll have to remember this is the school that canceled the Muslim student as the valedictorian speaker. Remember they canceled her? Listen to this.
Yeah, I'm here with Lázaro Abuelo. You are a father of a student at USC who's here. Tell me why you're on campus. You also said you're a Los Angeles resident.
I am here to support my daughter. She's studying here, and they're protesting against the genocide. And that's why I am against the genocide. My family is against the genocide. We think that nobody, no kid deserves to be killed.
Well, why did you come down to campus?
Yeah, because my daughter started organizing too. Says, hey, we have to support Palestine. And that's why I am here. Not only to support Palestine, we want the genocide to stop.
Do you know where your daughter is right now?
Right now, gotta be somewhere because the police start chasing all the students. As you see, they are threatening. If we don't leave the campus, we are gonna be arrested. But the students are so brave. Look at them. They don't want to leave the campus.
Does that concern you, though, as a father, that your daughter is somewhere?
Even though it concern me, but my daughter did the right decision. If she rather to be arrested fighting for Palestine, I will be the happiest daddy. I will be the happiest daddy if she's doing the right thing. And I know she's doing the right thing. If the police arrest me now, I am willing to go with the students. I have no problem because what I am doing is the right thing, fighting against a genocide. I have kids, not only the teenagers, I have a 7 years old, and I imagine being a father in Palestine to see my kid be assassinated by Israel. That's not good. We are humanity. This is not a matter of religion, political, no. We are humans. We cannot support any genocide.
Well, we will let you go and find your daughter, and I appreciate you talking to us.
Free Palestine, always.
Thank you for talking to us.
With Palestine, always.
Isn't that just heartfelt, you guys? You see how someone's dad came out there to stand in solidarity? This is solidarity, guys. This is not unity. This is going beyond unity. This is putting someone else's needs before your own. So kudos to that dad. Remember him on Father's Day. Remember him on Father's Day. Now we get to Northeastern, my alma mater, at least for grad school. Northeastern University right here in Boston. You're going to see they got together as well. I told you it would spread. Around 200 Northeastern students have taken over a park in the center of campus. Small number of campus police on the scene. Look at this. Shout out to Northeastern because usually things don't get lit over there.
تعال يلا تعال ايوه
So that's Northeastern. Again, I went there for grad school. So it was great to see them also stand in solidarity. Now we're going to move into what happened in Texas. because Texas is probably where I would say the University of Texas, where most of the violence seemed to be a little bit more extreme, because Governor Abbott decided to call in the state troopers to confront these kids who were protesting peacefully. And you can see that actually starting here, where it says, here's the scene from the current focal point of the UT Austin protest off of 22nd Street southwest of the main building. So you see the police are here on horses and everything. This is Stonewall. They are chanting, "Who failed Uvalde?" Because what was interesting to me, the way that these troopers could respond to these peaceful protests as though it was an urgent situation, and their lack of response to the school shooting in Uvalde is very telling here, folks. This goes back to what I've said before, that police aren't really trying to solve no damn crime. They're here to be bullies. They're here to intimidate people who are actually exercising their First Amendment rights, who are protesting peacefully. But when it came time for them to actually act urgently in a violent situation and save kids' lives, they failed. Where were they? Where was this sense of urgency from the state police in Texas when those kids were held hostage by another freaking guy who was killing kids in the school, and you couldn't even go in within 1 hour of being on the scene? Where were you? Where was that sense of urgency, Uvalde? Governor Abbott, where was the urgency then? Because they're big and bad standing up against people who are unarmed and exercising their First Amendment right. But when it comes time for them to actually do their damn job and face real danger, they cower. And that's why I say defund the police. Because our tax dollars are going towards the police officers to harass and intimidate and beat people peacefully protesting instead of tracking down criminals, okay? Some of them are spending more time at Dunkin' Donuts than they are actually doing their damn job. Now, we're going to break down what happened in Texas here. We're going to bring up this clip here from News Nation. Let me just fast forward a little bit here. They had a reporter there on the scene. I think you need to hear this as well, because this is definitely overreach and this is fascism. They are sending in the police state to stop you from exercising your First Amendment right. And I don't care what political ideology you have. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. This is a problem.
It's been a very tense couple of hours, a violent couple of hours, since these protesters, about 200 students, were met with a heavy, immediate police presence. We learned of these plans last night when a group called the Palestinian Solidarity Committee intended to host a mass walkout from class and a sit-in on the main lawn just below that iconic UT Tower. But UT warned them almost immediately that they will not be allowed to do that. The university said that they believe that would be disruptive and said that they need to cancel the protest. Of course, they did not cancel it, and they were met by riot troopers from the Department of Public Safety, from UT's own police, and they ended up arresting about 6 to 8 students, is what we believe right now, for trespassing or for disrupting. We did not see anything overtly violent from any of the protesters, but nonetheless, the university is certainly going to look into disciplining those students that.
Look at this. So the police officers showed up in riot gear. They showed up in riot gear to approach students. Militarized police, we cannot have. We are living in a police state in this country. I tried to warn people about this during the Black Lives Matter protest. Some of you were more concerned about property being destroyed than the actual police state who were harassing peaceful protesters. The mask is off, folks. The mask is off. If some of you had a problem with the way police approached the situation on January 6th, and you felt like those people were exercising their right, then you also should feel the same way about the students protesting on these campuses. You should also feel that they're exercising their right, okay? Let the partisanship go.
Disobeyed their order to cancel that protest. It's finally dispersed after a very tense couple of hours. But, you know, I'll tell you, I went to UT just a few years ago, and this university has a culture of protest. Their students are very politically active, and this is going to be a wound that is going to take some time to heal on this campus. Take a look at some of the reaction that we got from students in the middle of that protest today. I was next to one of the organizers. He had successfully gotten everybody's attention. Listen up, people were silent, and he was trying to organize people to disperse, literally doing what the police had told him to do. Mid-sentence, he gets tackled to the ground by 5 heavily armed officers and dragged off. This is a giant escalation of what would have been a peaceful protest.
Yep. Because the police show up to these events and they actually escalate the situation. It's not just that gentleman there. There was also a photographer that was arrested. This is crazy. They were just basically taking anybody out that was in the vicinity. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? That reminds you of the IDF. The IDF is not like they say they're looking for Hamas. They're out to kill any and everything that is in that vicinity, regardless if it's Hamas or not. The police are trained by the IDF. So you have to understand they're using some of the same tactics when they confront people in this country. This is all connected. So this guy who was just doing his damn job, he was arrested by the police. Shout out to Philip Lewis, a photographer for Fox 7 in Austin, was arrested during the protest. This guy wasn't protesting. He was just doing his damn job.
Who are you with?
I'm with Fox 7.
Fox 7?
Yeah,
what's your name?
Carlos.
Carlos, what do you think of this?
I think it's, they were pushing me, and they say that I hit an officer. I didn't hit an officer. They were pushing. You know what I mean? They were pushing me.
I'm a legal observer. What's your name and date of birth? We're going to send attorneys to you.
Has this ever happened?
No, it's never happened to me. You know what I mean? I was just covering things.
Did you tell them you were the press?
Yeah, I told them that I was the press. This one says that I was hitting an officer. I was not hitting nobody. You know what I mean?
So you know what he said here? He told him that he was a part of the press. They didn't care. They arrested him anyway. This is what I've been telling you guys again about the police state. And this happens under Republican Party leadership and Democrat Party leadership. Believe it or not, one thing that Democrats and Republicans agree on, at least the party leadership, is that we need to keep giving the police more money. Don't you remember Joe Biden said we got to fund the police? They agree with this. They agree with militarizing the police. They agree with the police state. Don't get it twisted. Don't get out here thinking that the Democratic Party doesn't approve of the police state. They do approve of it. They're funding it. Those of us that said defund the police, we are far and few. We are not the majority. And those of us on the left who were saying that were heavily scrutinized for saying defund the police. Somehow, next thing I knew, the Democratic Party took credit for defund the police. Most of those people do not want to defund the police. They want to give the police more money. Don't think that there is a difference between these two parties when it comes to policing. They want us living in a fascist state. This is what they are doing. It doesn't matter if it's Trump or Biden. They want complete control of the people. That's why they want to put surveillance on all of you. That's why they want to watch you. That's why they want facial recognition software. That's why they want to keep tabs on you. They don't want anybody to rise up for any type of revolution or their real rights in this country. And it's happening under both parties. And everybody needs to wake up. This gentleman here, listen to what he says about how the police came in and escalated the situation.
Most definitely. If the police had never came, we would have followed the schedule set out by PSC. It was a variety of scholastic teach-ins, lunch breaks. It was, study hours on the lawn, a peaceful demonstration. And now that the police have come, it has now turned into like a clash of students wanting our own campus sovereignty and UT Austin and UTPD and state troopers trying to quell dissent.
There you go. What did I tell you? And I've seen it happen multiple times before because I've been present at several protests. So I'm familiar with these things happening. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, yes, they show up and things get worse. But the UT students, they prevailed. Because you see, they actually returned back to the South Lawn. Give it up for the damn students. It says UT Austin protesters have returned to the South Lawn. Let's go.
Stop the killing, stop the crime. Israel out of Palestine. Justice is our demand. No peace on stolen land. Justice is our demand. No peace on stolen land. Up with liberation. Down with occupation.
I have to remind myself sometimes that we have to have faith in the younger generation. And those of you watching, if you were like me, right? So if you were a millennial like me, think back to how you felt when you were their age, when we were in undergrad, or even if you weren't in undergrad, but you were in that age bracket. Think about how you felt during that time when you felt like people, the older generation, didn't take you seriously or didn't have faith in you. I'm here to tell you, I think we need to say that the kids are going to be all right. We got to have faith that they know what they're doing, and we got to let them do their thing. This is not to say you can't join along with them. You can join along with them. Just don't come in there and try to take over things. Okay? But we got to have faith in these kids that they are going in the right direction and they can do it. Think back for those of you, if you were part of the Vietnam War protests, how did you feel when people of older generations basically said, oh no, those kids, what are they doing? No, you were right. Those of you out there, you were protesting against the Vietnam War, you were right. Those of you who protested against the Iraq War, you were right. And these kids out there right now protesting against genocide, they are right. So we got to have a little bit more faith in them. And this is why I say this, because I do have good news about this. We already have one victory. New York. The University of Rochester SDS and UR-SJP statement on occupation for Palestine. Let's bring it on in home. So you can see they had encampments there. Here's some good news, folks. As of April 24th, the administration of University of Rochester has announced that UR will move forward with an academic boycott from all ties to Israel. Let's say this again, folks. As of April 24th, the administration of University of Rochester has announced that UR will move forward with an academic boycott. What? An academic boycott from all ties to Israel. Let's give it up for the students. for the students. We had to do a little bit of a bounce there because I told you some of these schools will come around. Let's go. It is game time, son. It is game time. And we have a message here from a Holocaust survivor. I want you to hear what he said. He is saying that the students should not stop what they are doing. Let's bring it in.
As a Holocaust survivor, my message to the brave student protesters in America is just keep doing it. Don't give up. We are doing exactly the same. And in the long term, we are going to prevail. I'm out from the beginning at every march. A small group of survivors and descendants of survivors demonstrate disagreement with the use of the Holocaust experience as a cover by the Zionists and the State of Israel.
What's happening on America's college campuses is horrific. This is reminiscent of what happened in German universities in the 1930s.
The way that the Israeli government is using the memory of the Holocaust in order to justify what they are doing to the Gazans is a complete insult to the memory of the Holocaust. And we stand repeated in the last few demos carrying placards hanging from the neck saying this survivor of the Holocaust is against the genocide in Gaza. And we also demonstrate against the conflating of Jewishness with Zionism, which is what the Israeli state is trying to do, which does nothing else but increases anti-Semitism. So we are trying to counter that by demonstrating that Jews and Holocaust survivors are against that. We have.
Do you hear what he's saying? You see, people like him, they don't want you to hear from. They don't want you to hear this guy. People like him, Netanyahu would point to and say that he's not a real Jewish person. You guys have heard these statements before, right? But he's telling you the truth about Zionism. Problematic. And how crazy it has become. He's telling the students to keep doing what you're doing.
Tremendously warm reception and appreciation from the typical members of the march. We get handshakes and hugs, and some people stand and some women cry seeing the placards. It's a great and warm experience. When the right-wing section of the present government is trying to press for the banning of these marches on the grounds that they create no-go areas for Jews and they are anti-Semitic. We know that this is complete rubbish, and the very opposite is true. Today's marches are having a very hopeful aspect, that it is so large, so persistent, so global, that eventually the Western leadership, which are trying to deny what is actually going on, will be forced to face up to it. And I think we are not far from that. I think there was no parallel to that in the Jewish Holocaust experience. In fact, there was great abandonment, certainly from the leadership of the country. There were some, very few, very brave people who risked everything to be on the right side of history and to rescue as much as possible. But the majority of people were too afraid and looked the other way. There is a question of historic responsibility towards injustice, genocide, and fascism. If you are just indifferent, if you do not take a stand, you acquire a degree of guilt without any doubt. And I think it is imperative to assert opposition and even at some degree of disadvantage and risk.
Remember his words, right? So we need more heroes like him. We need more people like him to stand up. You know, they're trying to silence people like him. They're telling people, by they, I mean people like Alan Dershowitz, they're out there repeating on people's shows that people that are part of Jewish Voices for Peace aren't real Jewish people. Like, you know, the amount of lies that have been told, it's really disgusting when you think about it. But we need people like that. So shout out to him for being vocal, and shout out to the damn students for doing the damn thing. And what you see happening in Texas right now is just another reminder to you folks that both parties support the fascist police state, the militarized fascist police state, and that both parties are not pro free speech. It took Candace Owens being fired from the Daily Wire for some people to get that, but hey, we all here. At the end of the day, both parties want to control what you do, what you see. They want to know where you're going. And that's what Edward Snowden tried to get people to understand. It's us and the oligarchs, folks. Political parties, it doesn't matter, because both of them support the oligarchs. Both of them support the military industrial complex, and both of them support putting the American people last. That's just how it is. They're not trying to help you, especially if you're working class or you're poor. So a shout out to those students for doing the damn thing. The Oracle says, due to the atrocities being perpetuated in the name of Zionism, conflating it with anti-Semitism only increases a type of misguided anti-Semitism. That's right. And that's the scary part about it. Because the reality is there are people who are anti-Semitic. And when real incidents, real serious incidents of anti-Semitism happens, you know, it kind of just, it takes away from that. Let's go to some of the comments here. Shout out to Courtney Smith says, those boos kind of had a WWE vibe to it. All they were missing were the asshole chat. Yeah. Thank you, Sparky. I'm not sure if Louisiana District will re-elect Mike Johnson after he's so blatantly sold out. Thank you, Heidi. Thanks, Sabby. These children are our future. Do not arrest them. I believe the children are our future. Thank you, Tates. Zionists enslaved Palestine for 75 years, but now they started the same tactics to enslave Americans. And thank you, Jay. Kim Iverson just did a report tonight on how these riot police officers are trained by Israel. Yes, it's utterly horrific and pathetic. Yes. And this is why I want people to make the connection. They're connected. The way you see the IDF treating the Palestinian people, you see some of those same things happening with police in the United States. Look at the way they treat protesters here. And some of the videos that I saw on social media, I can't even show you on here. Bad Cookie says, hey, Sabby, there are Hamas in those students. BB told me so. JB says, one thing people need to consider, the courts are also in league with the police state. Judges, DAs, AGs are also not our friends. This is why the system must be rebuilt from the ground up. Wake up. Yeah, especially the judges that are appointed. You're not appointed as a judge just because you did a good job. Thank you, Amaterasu? Interesting. Sabby, that's China, right? Question mark. US could never. Thank you, Tavis. As a millennial, we need to stand by these kids, behind these kids. Yes, I totally hear you, Tavis. And I know some people are like, why do you call them kids? Like, because to me, they kind of, you know, they're young. They remind me of my students. My students were around that age, you know. Thank you, JoJo. Your audience, when you put on the music. Oh, did you guys like the music? Oh, did you guys like the music? I didn't see the comments because I was dancing. But thank you, MTG. I was at Battle for Seattle in 1999. I have never looked at my country, America, the same. Masked instigators bust in by the government to create chaos. And that's another thing. There will be people who will infiltrate the protests to make it seem like the people who are peacefully protesting are being violent. Saw that with BLM too. We Need Critical Thinking says, hey, chat, has Sabby ever danced on the show? I don't think so. But I didn't have music I could play. And like StreamYard now has this newer thing where you can add audio as long as it's not, copyright. So yeah.